Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! My ex-friend is commonly called Karen. She's very entitled and has a bad habit of actually screaming for managers over the smallest things. I have watched this 35-year-old woman scream, "Give me the manager or I will call the cops!" at a restaurant because a waiter accidentally gave her iced tea instead of sweet tea. What are the cops gonna do? Karen and I used to be friends. I can't remember why. She comes off as sweet and caring, but she's the most entitled person I have ever met. Karen also struggles with fertility and is desperate for children. She tried to adopt a child, but because of her mental health problems and unstable lifestyle of hotel hopping, she was denied. She doesn't have a job, she is technically homeless, and her boyfriend is a 21-year-old douchebag, and she tends to hoard animals that all die in unusual circumstances. Her last cat died mysteriously at only 2 years old and was perfectly healthy. I was there when she adopted him and heard the vet state he was healthy. Suddenly he dies, and she claims it was heart disease and claims it was a seizure, then claims it was kidney problems and says that he somehow flew across a room and purposely aimed into the wall. Yeah, a little suspicious. My other friend Kara did call animal control on her and found she had 6 rats, 5 hamsters, 1 dog, and 4 cats. She claimed all of them were emotional support animals and that they were medical equipment and taking them away would be against the law. Big yikes. She's not well. A while ago she was saying how desperate she is to have children and was talking about looking for a surrogate. She wanted someone to carry a child for her for free with a list of demands for the surrogate. All for free. Now we all but her know that ain't free. Human incubators aren't a free service, and mistreating anyone in that job is a good way to be in a legal battle. I listened because, well, me explaining the truth to her would be like me placing my head in a garbage disposal. Completely pointless and 100% painful. I make a comment how one day uterine transplants might become more successful and more common and how great that would be. I bring it up because I'm not entirely in love with my uterus. I don't plan on ever having children and I'm not against the idea of uterine donation. I still cannot find a doctor that will take away my baby-making abilities because I'm too young to make such a decision. I'm 27. I feel like if I wanted to change my mind, I would have before now. Anyways, not the point, sorry. I make the joke of me wanting to donate my uterus to someone who needs it, since I have no plans on using its baby-holding abilities. That's when Karen says, "Yeah, then I would have you give me your uterus so I could finally have a child." Now, I thought she was joking. I truly believed this was a joke, but it wasn't. Karen and I had a falling out, thank God. And I thought we could just part ways quietly. Yeah, she had other plans. She posts all over Facebook and pings me, saying I had made a legal agreement to give her my uterus or to be her surrogate. Never once did I say such things. And now she has her friends after me, harassing me in DMs for giving her false hope and mental anguish. Karen is threatening to sue me for my uterus and for causing extra trauma by not following through. I'm just confused and baffled. I'm also curious, how can she afford a lawyer if she can't afford food for her many animals? Are lawyers suddenly cheaper than I recall? But also, last time I checked, you can't be sued to give a body part, can you? Especially if no legal agreement was ever made, right? I'm lucky to have a lawyer family friend. He's agreed to help set me up with a meeting with a colleague of his if this turns serious. It's doubtful it will, but Karen is definitely having a public meltdown over our friendship ending. Oh, and yeah, I wish this was a fake story. I wish I was lying here. This person is not mentally sound and she has threatened people over ridiculous things. This isn't a new behavior for her. In the past, she threatened to call CPS on someone online over a disagreement. She bragged about doxing the person's address to me and posted about calling CPS on them for spending more time disagreeing with Karen than watching their child. This person Karen was threatening was a mother of a 14-year-old kid. It wasn't like the mother was neglecting attention to an infant, toddler, or a young kid. I'm Carlos, a Chilean writer living in Chile at the moment. I started my career in 2006 after a failed suicide attempt, and years later I wrote a story about how it went down. Then I wrote another one about what happened after, and just like that, I wrote an entire book about weird stuff that I did to become, well, a writer. Very meta, I know. It felt good and my therapist suggested I do the same exercise, but now write about what happened in 1990s in Curicó. It felt good and my therapist suggested I do the same exercise, but now write about what happened in 1990s in Curicó, Chile. When I grew up, it was really scary. 4 years of severe bullying. I was called awful names because I had a soft voice. That was the only reason. That led to groping, violence, real torture, and yes, assault. I wrote the whole thing. How to face it, how to live with something like that, how helpless a kid is in this situation. Everything. Soon later, I had a finished book in my hands. Mixing up both stories was around 30 or 40 stories about severe school bullying ending up in hospitalizations and so on. After a long time, I decided to publish it here in Chile. My lawyer advised me to send it to the school and give them some space for a statement. They replied, basically saying, "Sorry for what happened to you, but we still think it's cowardly to spread these stories about our beautiful school with lots of proud children that love their school and have a great experience daily," and so on. The worst thing was that this was written by the former vice principal who sent me to the bathroom where, well, that happened. I was in shock. I didn't sleep for a couple of days. I signed with my publisher the following day. My lawyer was still concerned that these people didn't realize what a blunder that response was and that I was eager to publish it in my book out of spite. He emailed the school and asked for a Zoom meeting, which they granted a month later in August 2022. The principal said to my face that they researched who I was and found out I've been working in media for the last decade or so. Therefore, I was into shady stuff and embarrassing their school for whatever reason, but they wanted no business with me. Many people in Curicó have read my book. It's selling great, and I have plenty of witnesses. Heck, many of my bullies at the time want to back me up on this, except for the school. Wouldn't you know it, I got the principal fired. The owners of the school reached out to me yesterday and told me they had no idea about the Zoom meeting. He's been fired, and they will try to warn other schools about this guy. Do they care about my story? I have no idea. Are they watching their backs? Absolutely. Do I care? No. Oh, and I just finished translating my book to English. It was fun not to translate but to rewrite, explaining again, contextualizing what happened and why. A few years ago, when I was a very active musician in bands, largely inspired by a certain girl power band that announced the tour after over 20 years, I had to go. I had never seen them and they had influenced my life so much, so I dropped around 3K on a credit card, took time off work, and traveled half across the country to see them without blinking an eye. I was so excited and my boyfriend was so excited for me. We got to the venue super early and stood out front so we could be near the stage, and we were. What I did not expect was that quite a few people there were really against a straight couple being there. I was the main target. Apparently, I had betrayed my gender by being straight. Ha! I'm bringing my sins to this show, and they were not shy about letting me know. I was trying to have a good time, but a few of these people were really making it hard. The show was getting pretty rowdy, and being so close to the front, I could see security pulling people out of the crowd and through a side door toward flashing blue lights, and I wanted no part of that, so I ignored a lot of insults. People saying I don't know anything about this band, hair pulls, name calling, kicks, and so on. But this one girl, I guess she figured she was a powerful witch and could get away with anything she wanted. She started pulling my hair and hanging onto my head like I was Rapunzel and trying to choke me. She was trying to leg sweep me and pull me to the ground. She was saying things like, I'm not of this world. And I will end you. It was relentless. I'm really strong, so I was able to hold my own without throwing a punch and getting arrested, but finally, I just didn't want to be there anymore. The show was still about 30 minutes from over and I wanted to leave, but I didn't want to leave defeated. So when she grabbed my hair again, maybe like the 20th time, instead of pulling away, I twisted into her. My face was right near her chest and she was wearing a very low tank top. I grabbed her around the arms and waist with one arm, while I stuck my finger of my other hand down my throat to make myself vomit right down the front of her shirt while I looked into her eyes. I was pretty dehydrated from being there for so long, so there was quite a bit of dry heaving before I was able to produce. The look of horror in her eyes told me that I won this fight. She was too shocked and disgusted to react instantly, so I stood straight up, smiled, and shoved her toward the front, propelling myself away from the stage to make my exit. I wrote a cool song about it later that I had fun playing at a lot of shows, so even though the show was really disappointing in a lot of ways, at least I got a hilarious memory and a cool song. So it wasn't a waste of money or time. A weird win, but a win. On the way, I stopped for some gas. All the pumps are occupied. I analyze the situation and pull in behind this SUV. As I pull in, I see that the pump is still in the gas tank. The clip thing has disengaged so that automatic pumping has stopped and there is no one to be seen. Maybe they stepped inside for a receipt or a lotto ticket. Okay, whatever. Dude casually strolls over whilst on his phone like he's the CEO of the gas station. Not a worry in the world. He leisurely returns the bomb, secures his gas cap, and I'm all like, great, let's get this going. Instead of entering his car to get the hell out, he then proceeds to walk past my car to the sidewalk to the intersection where he proceeds to cross and go into the cannabis store. What the hell? I'm flabbergasted and can barely process what I'm seeing. When I turn back and catch the eyes of the woman bumping on the other side of our lane, we both have big what the hell did we just witness eyes as I roll my window down and she totally confirmed it. Dude went to the weed store without moving his vehicle from the lane. Who does that? The lady was done. She advised I pull in behind her so I could do my thing and get on with my life. So I'm bumping my gas and fuming at the audacity of this. I'm the main character dude. I considered spitting on his car. Ew, I know, but in my head, I rehearsed my speech of shame upon his return. I thought about leaving a note, and I considered all the things. As I finished pumping my gas, the dude is still nowhere to be seen. I did the only thing I could think of in those final moments. I put the floss pick that I have been using to dislodge my breakfast from my teeth and jammed it between the window and the door on the driver's side. I felt that it wasn't destructive or as gross as spitting, maybe only ever so slightly less gross anyway. He would find it immediately, it was bright green, and most importantly, I would feel better. I pulled out before he landed in his car so I didn't see his reaction, but I definitely felt better about my pity revenge. That I drove like a bat out of hell so he couldn't catch up to me. The moral of this story, do not be a jerk. Years ago, I was going through a nasty divorce. I was living alone in an apartment with my son, and my parents lived about a half hour away. My mother is a narcissist. I discovered this years later, and anytime she does something nice, there is always strings attached and stipulations. I needed a car. I never asked for one though. I was walking and biking to work because I didn't have the money for proper transportation at the time. My parents showed up to my apartment one day out of the blue with a car and a contract. The deal was that it would remain in my mom's name until the divorce was finalized and that I will pay them back with my tax refund. I cried as I signed, feeling like I was making a deal with the devil. But I needed a car, so looking back on it, I signed under protest, invalidating the contract's legality. According to them, the contract was to protect us both. The purpose of keeping it in my mom's name was so that my ex couldn't claim it as a marital asset. So it was mom's car in name only. That thing was a money pit. I put more money in it than it was worth, trying to keep it running. Towards the end of my divorce, a visitation schedule was set and we had to meet at a certain location, which was too far for me to walk. My mom and I got into an argument and then she said, "Well, why don't I just take the car back? You're not using my car for your ex's visitation. He can come pick up your son from your apartment." Oh really? You're gonna go there? By the way, my ex is the kind of person that would just be fine with not seeing our son for his scheduled visitation, so I will be responsible for paying for more childcare expenses and having to find help. Also, my mother didn't really want the car and she didn't have to deal with the nonsense of my ex. I said fine, take it back, we will walk. A court doesn't care about how I get my son to see his dad. So if you want your 4-year-old grandson to walk on a busy road, so be it, because that is our only option. You know, my ex doesn't care and will just find a way to use it against me in court. But go ahead, take the car back. It's a lemon anyway and I can't afford the upkeep. I'll be glad to get rid of that burden. She didn't take the car back and never threatened to take it back again. My circumstances are better now. My car was totaled in an accident, not my fault, and I was able to get a newer car on my own merit and credit. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.